All right, guys. I open this the same way every time by telling you that once again we have another Sorrow Eternal interview. Tonight we have Kenny Snarzyk, 1/3 of St. Louis sludge band Fister. So Kenny, first and foremost, we want to thank you for taking the time to answer some questions about your music. We appreciate your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So let's start with the obvious question we have to know. How did you decide on the name Fister?
The band name Fister. In 2009, me and Marcus got together and started recording some songs out of boredom and didn't have a name. And so, we didn't really take the project that seriously at the beginning. It was just kind of something to cure boredom and, just throw out there. But the recording ended up going well. We had a lot of fun doing it. We decided maybe we should play a handful of shows. We did that, and those went better than we thought they would. So we decided maybe we should record again. So we tracked a bunch of songs at our old apartment, 3424, and a lot of those songs ended up making it to be re-recorded in a studio for our Snarzyk release and our split with The Lion's Daughter, which actually we recorded both Snarzyk and our side of that split on the same day at Firebrand Studios. So yeah, by then we were just kind of stuck with the band name, and whatever, it could be worse, I guess.
Your albums all have very distinct pieces of artwork. In particular, the last two releases, The Infernal Paramount and Violence, have lasting images. What are the stories or inspirations behind these two concepts?
Both the artwork for Infernal Paramount and Violence actually ended up being shirts before they were artwork for record covers. The Infernal Paramount, I wish I remembered who originally did it, but it was a woodblock carving from, I want to say, like the 15th or 16th century of an angel with the plate of God in one hand and some arrows and Satan on his shoulder and a bunch of imprisoned apostles at his feet. I just thought it was really cool looking, and it ended up on the back of one of our hoodies. And then later, when we were putting together the artwork for the Infernal Paramount, I just thought it kind of fit the whole theme of it, so we stuck it on the front cover. And yeah, I like it. It's evil looking. As far as Violence goes, I designed that one. It was actually a picture of a statue of the Virgin Mary holding Jesus in her lap. And I liked the idea of her holding Jesus on her lap and being this martyr for Jesus. And so she stuck a gas mask on him while whatever horrible bacterial virus was tore her face off. That's another thing. It was a shirt, and it looks cool. I think we focused more on the artwork on the inside of those releases than the covers, to be honest. The booklets for Violence have a lot of more conceptual art as far as the release goes, and same with the actual etching on the vinyl for the Infernal Paramount. I think make a lot more sense with the releases than the covers. The covers themselves just kind of ended up being kind of more eye candy than anything.
Who were some of your major influences in your early days, and more specifically in the writing and recording of Violence? What is the lyrical content about, and is there some deeper story involved?
Our drug dealers. We at the beginning, I don't know, what were we? I'm trying to think what I was listening to a lot of, particularly when we started Fister. There's definitely some sleep influence, I'd say. Marcus has a big blues background and jazz background. You don't really hear any jazz, but you do hear a lot of blues riffing on some of the early stuff. Yeah, we were listening to a lot of, we listened to a lot of St. Vitus. Grief, I know Grief was a big influence in the whole idea of starting this band. It was bands like that and Cavity and a lot of those like more sludgy bands that we've kind of moved away from since then. Now, as far as the influence of the recording of Violence, I don't know. Honestly, I hear like a lot of parts of Violence kind of remind me of a lot of the death metal I grew up listening to, Obituary and stuff like, you know, like a little more plodding death metal, which I wouldn't dare tell anyone that Violence is a death metal release, but I definitely hear the influence of death metal on Violence. The whole concept of Violence is it's 5 movements. It's technically one song that we just broke down into 5 tracks because there are 5 different movements. But the song itself is about essentially the history of violence throughout the world, and mankind specifically. It starts with the forced extinction of the Neanderthal. Also, the second movement is obviously the An-Lushan Rebellion, which is one of the bloodiest conflicts I think our world has seen, at least percentage-wise. I want to say something like 14% of the world's population at the time died in that conflict. And it was all swords and arrows and spears and all sorts of grueling, barbaric warfare. And then we move on to Trail of Tears, which is, you know, Manifest Destiny. You know, white man comes over to America and decides he's going to liberate the land from the people that already lived there. Moves on to future of nuclear war, and to me, the end, it's kind of a happy ending to me. The end of Violence is essentially a giant meteorite annihilating the planet completely. I mean, at this point, after Violence 4, mankind's already dead anyways. So I just like the idea of this massive meteor obliterating the planet and just scattering us back out throughout the heavens, essentially, and redispersing us to become our own little Carl Sagan universes. Actually, the beginning of the song, that sample at the beginning of the song, is a layered version of the golden record that Carl Sagan put in the Voyager satellite that they shot out into space for aliens to find. And that was a big part of the concept. Was I like the idea of aliens getting a hold of something once we're long gone because we've destroyed ourselves, and then ultimately the universe kind of took hold and destroyed what was left of us. I like the idea of some kind of alien civilization finding it and just being puzzled by the fact that all we did was kill the shit out of each other. So yeah, that's pretty much that's the concept of Violence.
In a 5-song album, the track that stands out in listening is Violence 3, Trail of Tears, which is a very soft, lightly played track. How do you think that track fits into the greater scope of the album?
I agree about Trail of Tears. I think that that is probably my favorite part of the entire release, and all it is Marcus playing guitar, and I think it really captures the mood. And I don't know. I know that I've read online and I've heard from some people that they don't think the Trail of Tears really fits, and I think that those people are assholes, because I think Trail of Tears really glues it together. It's quiet. It's definitely a little bit of downtime aside from us just, bludgeoning you with doom riffs the entire time. But I mean, I think in many ways the Trail of Tears is the heaviest part of the entire song, and Yeah, I think overall I'm really pleased with how Violence turned out, especially considering the settings we recorded it in.
We recently got a close look at the cassette release for Violence, which brought up a few questions. First of all, why cassette? And where did the idea to use your own blood in the artwork come from?
So the idea to use blood in the artwork was, there were a lot of things. One, the fact that we were curious if it would take to the ink, and we did find that the ink was starting to clot when we were screen printing these books, but it panned out all right. I don't know, I just thought it would be kind of cool to throw our blood in there. The cassette, we did the cassette for a couple reasons. One, Violence wouldn't fit on one side of a record because the total length is just under 25 minutes, and you're highly discouraged from putting more than 18 minutes on one side of a 12-inch record. So that was a big reason why we went with cassette there. And I like cassettes. I still have tons of cassettes from my youth. You know, I couldn't afford CDs when I was a kid. Well, I guess I could, but like I could definitely afford 3 used tapes versus 1 new CD. So that was my whole deal with cassettes, and it's kind of similar to the whole Pitchfork thing. Like Pitchfork can't afford to put out a ton of vinyl, but we can afford to put out a lot of cassettes. And I like them. It's part nostalgia for me, and they're cool. I mean, cassettes never full on died in the metal community, and I still buy cassettes from bands today. I bought cassettes from bands 5 years ago, and obviously I bought them from them, I guess 20 years ago. So yeah, I mean, like that wasn't a big issue to me. Plus, we threw in a download card. I know that most of the people that bought that cassette are buying it for the booklet, and I mean, the total package turned out really cool.